Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would commend the gentlelady on pointing out these deported veterans issues. I was reading about that, and I saw that one was deported after he was convicted of shooting into an occupied vehicle in 2010. I'm not sure who the president was then, but it's nice to see the attention getting brought on this subject matter now. So I would commend her for pointing that out and cite a Los Angeles Times story that points out that each of the individuals in question deported between 2008 and 2016 had committed a crime, and there might be up to 350 of such individuals. But back to the testimony at hand, I'm curious, I saw in Ms. Duke's testimony that the federal agencies had coordinated prior to the events in Charlottesville. I think that's a good thing. Certainly more is needed. But when you have large gatherings of people, say, for example, Saturday at 2 p.m. at my high school, which is in Congressman Brett's district and not my own, a state semi-championship football game will be held. Probably about 8,000 people will be in attendance. Is there any federal coordination for security for that sort of event?
Unless it's a declared national security event, our coordination is with the responsible local officials. We call that a soft target, and we do quite a bit of training, coordination, and assistance in advance to help them secure.
And so, and I apologize for the way this is going, because it's not intended to be a gotcha, and I'm going that way almost reflexively, too much time as a courtroom lawyer. But obviously an event like that presents a soft target, as you indicated, and a collaboration or a gathering of people in close proximity to one another. And yet technology recently has demonstrated via numerous videos on the Internet of the ability to use drones as weapons, etc. There are numerous unclassified videos on sites ranging from the New York Times to the Washington Post of 40mm hand grenades being dropped through the cupolas of M1 tanks, etc. We've all seen them. And yet the anti-drone gun technology that currently exists is limited in its capacity to be sold specifically and exclusively to federal law enforcement entities. I would submit for any of you to comment on that the first line of defense at that football game on Saturday will be local law enforcement, with probably some augmentation by state law enforcement, but that we do a historically wonderful job of preparing for the last conflict or the last attack, and we generally do a relatively poor job, which has been brought to the forefront post 9/11, of contemplating what that next attack might be. For example, the weaponization of vehicles that members of the panel have made reference to, that we've now seen all too many times, not only in Europe but most recently in the United States. Can somebody tell me why the Virginia State Police or the Henrico County Police Department or the Albemarle County Police Department can't purchase anti-drone technology when things like UVA football games or the NASCAR race at Richmond Motor Speedway occur under the protection of these entities? Can somebody give me a good reason why local and state law enforcement can't avail themselves of anti-drone technology? I want you to say no, but if there's a good reason, I want to hear it too.
No, there is no good reason. I think it's as the chairman said, to the legacy of authorities and not having the authorities because of it's conflated with the signal waves of cell phones and how they're tracked. So it needs to be addressed.
But and thank you very much. And again, I'm on the same team as all of you guys here, and I apologize again for my tone. I'm going to try to snap out of it. Would it, in your estimation, be a good policy area to consider to power down the ability to purchase anti-drone technology to state and local authorities, given that they are the first line of defense on so many soft target events that occur every single day in this country? Not to the civilian on the street, perhaps, but to law enforcement entities at the state and local level.
I think also their ability to use them in anti-terrorism use, and the federal government as well. We are limited just as state and local governments are.
Oh, absolutely. And so what you're suggesting then is that we should review en masse the employment doctrine as it relates to these particular technological advances.
Yes.
I'd yield back early, Mr. Chairman, just because I want